Yes.
Dim the lights, let go of the day, and slip into something a little more honest. You're listening to Why Is It So Hard with Lizzie and Nash, where things get deep, raw, and just a little dangerous.
Disclaimer first, because some of you will forget this later and send us dramatic emails. This is not therapy. We're not your life coaches, clergy, or lawyers. We're just two married weirdos in an ethically non-monogamous relationship who learned by doing it wrong and then figuring out how to do it slightly less wrong.
Yeah, which apparently qualifies us to sit here with microphones and caffeine poisoning, sharing all the secrets we swore we'd never tell.
The question on the table, can you truly be happy when your partner is dating someone else? People expect a yes or no. They want the BuzzFeed quiz version. Take this test to find out if you're chill enough for open relationships. But it's not a quiz. It's a lifestyle that keeps evolving while you're busy pretending you got it mastered.
We can tell you up front, yes, you can be happy, but happy looks different than what most couples are sold on. It's not hearts and rainbows. It's the steady, lived-in kind of joy that coexists with a few moments of, holy crap, why am I voluntarily doing this?
It's like going to the gym for emotional maturity. You don't love the squats, but you love that you can do them. The first time I watched you get ready for a date, I remember pacing like a trapped cat. I didn't know where to look. You were busy brushing your beard, humming, smiling in that way that wasn't for me. And I had to keep reminding myself, I chose this. I wanted this. I just hadn't trained my nervous system yet.
Meanwhile, I'm over here trying to look casual, like I wasn't terrified you'd regret the whole thing and slam the ethical non-monogamous door shut forever. Spoiler, you did not.
Nope. I had a minor meltdown, some dramatic texting to a friend, a half-empty wine glass, and then I realized, oh, the world didn't end. You came home. You were still you. And I wasn't a fool for loving someone who could love more than one person. I was just stretched past my comfort zone.
The thing nobody warns you about is how slow the emotional part is. You can intellectually get non-monogamy and still feel like your body's running Windows 95. Everything lags behind.
People also think you have to be some Zen monk to do this. You don't. You just have to be honest, brutally, embarrassingly honest. That's the part that keeps you sane. When jealousy hits, you don't suppress it. You name it. You let it sit at the table and eat some fries with you. That's where the humor saves us. Because honestly, if you can't laugh at yourself mid-spiral, you'll end up treating your relationship like a hostage negotiation.
Exactly. I think about that first separate date of ours. You remember how you texted me, have fun, with a little smiley face so tight I could hear its grinding teeth.
Don't remind me. That smiley was performing emotional labor. I hit send and yelled into a pillow. But the thing is, after that night, I realized I could do it. I didn't implode. I didn't need to make you smaller to feel safe. I just needed better tools and more snacks.
Yeah, which brings us to the real first topic. Why the hell do people outside of E&M relationships care so much about ours? Like, you say, we're open, and suddenly everyone thinks they've been cast in your documentary.
Because monogamy is treated like a club with a lifetime membership. You announce you're doing something different, and they act like you're returning your wedding ring to customer service. People project their fear. They've been told happiness only counts if it's exclusive. We're proof that love can multiply, not divide, and that breaks their math.
I used to get defensive about it. Now I just shrug. I tell them, we built a system that works for us, not a religion. That either ends the conversation or starts the longest lunch break of their life.
I get it, though. We were taught that jealousy equals love. So when they see us redefining it, it messes with their internal script. If your partner's joy doesn't automatically threaten you, the whole house of cards starts wobbling.
Exactly. Let's slow walk through what that happiness actually is. Happiness, for us, is a mix of trust, freedom, and competence. Trust that you'll come home honest, freedom to explore, competence to handle our emotions without collateral damage. That's it. 3 ingredients. Simple recipe, terrible prep time.
And you keep recooking it. Every new person, every new situation, you're back to chopping onions. Because non-monogamy isn't a static contract. It's a series of ongoing negotiations with yourself and each other. The rules evolve or they rot.
Speaking of rules, let's talk about the dumb ones we started with.
Oh, the greatest hits.
Yeah.
No overnights, no kissing, no catching feelings. Classic rookie mistakes. We thought if we made enough rules, we could outsmart emotion. Spoiler, we couldn't. Humans gonna human. All those rules did was turn us into accountants tallying guilt points.
The turning point was when we replaced rules with agreements. Agreements breathe. They're based on respect and not fear. Tell the truth quickly. Don't endanger each other. If something changes, speak early. That's our holy trinity.
We also dropped the fantasy of fairness. This isn't a game of equal turns. It's about both of us feeling nourished, not even. Sometimes I date more, sometimes you do. We check in and rebalance. Fairness isn't symmetry, it's sustainability.
And we learned that privacy isn't secrecy. Privacy is kindness. Secrecy is rot. If you feel betrayed finding out later, that's secrecy. If it's just nobody else's business, that's privacy.
Which leads to another thing that keeps people unhappy: oversharing out of guilt. Some couples narrate every detail like they're producing an audiobook. They think transparency means confession, but too much detail can be like pouring acid on your nervous system.
We do top-line transparency, enough to keep trust, not enough to weaponize later. Like, if something feels meaningful or risky, we share. But I don't need a play-by-play. You don't need mine. That space protects the heart from burnout.
Exactly. Sometimes the healthiest thing you can say is, I had a great night and I'm happy to be home. Period. Done. That sentence builds trust faster than 2-hour debrief ever could.
People always ask, what if your partner falls in love with someone else? And my answer is, what if they do? Love isn't the threat. Dishonesty is. If someone I love finds more love, I haven't lost anything. I've just got to recalibrate my sense of abundance.
That doesn't mean it's easy. Love's not a math problem you can solve with logic. Sometimes you cry, swear, journal, eat some fries, and then realize that jealousy was mostly fear wearing makeup. When I first saw you genuinely happy about someone new, my stomach dropped. Then I realized your happiness didn't erase mine. It just added another melody to the song. Took me a while to hear it that way, though.
The trick is separating the story from the feeling. The story says they'll leave. The feeling says I'm scared. You respond to the feeling, not the plot twist your brain wrote. Once we got that, the meltdowns turned into manageable weather instead of hurricanes.
Here's something we both learned. You can't logic your way out of feelings, but you can soothe them. You soothe them with consistency, touch, reassurance, and humor. My favorite tool? A dumb joke. You've diffused more jealousy spirals by making me laugh than any book ever could.
That's because laughter brings you back into your body. And honestly, if we can't laugh while talking about sex, emotions, and chaos, we've lost the plot.
Speaking of chaos, let's hit one of the most chaotic phrases, the first separate date. That's the night where theory meets reality, and both of you realize how many coping skills are still under construction.
Oh, it's a doozy. The out partner is nervous about messing it up. The home partner is trying to stay chill while their lizard brain is screaming danger. And both are texting friends for emotional air support.
My first solo night, I overprepared like I was planning a moon landing. Outfit, hair, backup outfit, hair again. You know what that looked like? Anxiety disguised as enthusiasm. But the actual date was normal, sweet, human. I didn't combust, and you, at home, survived without building a tracking app.
Barely. I made dinner, folded laundry, stared at the wall. It was the longest 2 hours of my life. But when you came home smiling, not apologetic, I realized I could hold that duality. Love, nerves, pride, all at once.
And that right there, holding multiple truths, is what happiness in E&M actually looks like. It's not a single emotion, it's emotional range. You can feel pride, jealousy, joy, and tenderness in the same 10 minutes. Welcome to the circus.
The goal isn't no jealousy, it's emotional stamina. Can you feel it? Talk about it and not blow up your life. That's maturity. Sexy, underrated maturity. Let's talk about the third person, the one who accidentally walks into our marriage like, "Hi, I promise I'm not here to cause trauma."
Yeah, outside partners. The most misunderstood part of all of this. People assume they're home wreckers or accessories. In reality, they're human beings just trying to date without ending up in someone's therapy notes.
We learned that the hard way. Remember the first woman we both dated?
Oh, yeah. Gorgeous, kind, and somehow in the middle of our emotional renovation project. Poor girl. She was trying to flirt while we were over here writing constitutions.
We were basically like, welcome. Please sign these 9 rules and avoid eye contact while we process our childhood.
The etiquette rule we eventually figured out. Don't make your new person carry your relationship's unfinished business. They didn't apply for that job.
Exactly. Their job is to be themselves. Our job is to keep the foundation of us solid enough that nobody's walking on eggshells.
We treat outside partners with honesty and softness, but we don't hand them steering wheels that belong here. They don't get to rewrite our marriage, and we don't get to treat them like background music.
You have to talk about the weight of connection early. Hey, this is where my life already has commitments. I have a partner. You'll get honesty, not unlimited time. People appreciate clarity more than promises you can't keep.
The happiest third we ever dated told me once, I love that you two actually like each other. That stuck because some couples in open dynamics are secretly competing instead of collaborating. If your primary vibe is who's cooler, it'll rot.
And that jealousy doesn't just live in the core couple. It leaks onto everyone if you're not careful, which is why boundaries and other partners matter.
Exactly. I learned to never trauma dump about you to someone I'm dating. It's not fair to them or to you. Venting is for friends, not lovers who have no power to fix it.
That's a top-tier skill, keeping your relationship's repairs in your relationship.
And speaking of repairs, let's talk about the nights everything goes sideways.
Oh, you mean the, oh no, we did a dumb thing nights.
Right? Every couple hits one. You think you're fine, then one person crosses a tiny emotional line, texts too long, forgets to update, or misreads tone, and boom. Jealousy, shame, the works.
Our worst one was over something stupid. I stayed an hour longer than planned because conversation was flowing, and you texted me, all good, when it absolutely wasn't.
I said, all good, but I meant I'm spiraling and pretending I'm fine so I don't sound needy. Classic.
The next day, we spent 3 hours untangling what that hour meant. Spoiler, it didn't mean much, but the story we both built around it did.
That's the part people miss. The incident isn't the wound. The story is. I'd convinced myself you stayed longer because she was better company. You'd convinced yourself I'd evolved into an emotional Buddha, but wrong.
The repair looked like this. We sat, phones off, no multitasking, and told the real story. You said, I needed you to notice my anxiety even if I didn't say it out loud. I said, I needed permission to be imperfect without punishment. And then we made a plan.
Repairs don't need to be poetic. They just need to be honest and fast. The longer you wait, the more resentment molds.
Our rule now is say it before it festers. If something's off, we name it within 24 hours. It doesn't have to be fixed right away, but it has to be acknowledged.
And that's what happiness looks like in the long term. Maintenance. It's not the absence of cracks. It's fixing them before the walls fall.
Speaking of walls, let's hit social judgment again because it's the world's favorite pastime.
Oh, the double standard. When a guy sleeps around, he's adventurous. But when a woman explores, she's confused. When a couple does it openly, suddenly they're selfish.
And when they don't do it openly, they're liars. Damned if you do, hypocrite if you don't.
My favorite is when someone whispers, I could never do that. Like we asked them to. It's wild how personal people take someone else's happiness.
We've learned to let them talk. Our marriage isn't a debate club, it's ours. I tell people we're not missionaries for E&M. We're just not allergic to honesty.
Yeah, I don't need converts. I need peace and maybe some fries.
Yeah, fries. They're the real language of love.
Totally. Anyway, here's the thing about social backlash. It usually comes from people who secretly crave what you have. Not the sex part, but the communication part. They see two people actually talking about boundaries and they short circuit.
Exactly. Because if monogamous couples communicated like E&M couples have to, half of them would either thrive or end peacefully instead of slowly combusting.
The have to is key. In monogamy, you can sometimes coast on default settings. In E&M, silence is deadly. You can't fake it. Everything surfaces eventually.
We always say non-monogamy doesn't create problems. It exposes the one that were already there.
Preach. It's a magnifier, not a disease.
And that's why when people say, I could never handle that, I think, yeah, maybe you couldn't yet, but you could learn because it's a skill set. Emotional regulation, honesty, humor, you can train it like any other muscle.
Let's slow down and define happy in our world because people keep imagining it's orgies and sunshine. Happiness for us is peace. It's no longer being at war with our own feelings.
It's also orgies and sunshine. It's not fireworks. It's that soft click when you lock eyes after a hard week and know you're still teammates.
Exactly. And sometimes it's dark humor. You jealous? Always. You hungry? Also, yes.
It's also orgies and sunshine. Listen, laughter has carried us through more jealousy than self-help books ever could.
And you know what makes that possible? Repair culture. Every mistake is either a lesson or a repeat offense. Pick one.
That's quotable.
You're welcome.
Okay, time for our first listener email.
Oh, yes. Here we go.
All right, this one's from Tara, and she says, my boyfriend and I opened our relationship a few months ago. I thought I'd be fine with him dating other people, but I keep feeling like I'm the boring base camp while he's off climbing mountains. How do I stop resenting the fun he's having?
Ooh, relatable.
Yeah, we've been there. You first.
Tara, first of all, you're not boring. You're stable. And stability doesn't get the same dopamine hits as novelty. That doesn't mean it's lesser. Base camp is what keeps climbers alive. No one survives Everest without it.
Well, I mean, some don't at all. But anyway, that was good.
I know. But seriously, if you're starting to feel like the unglamorous part of the story, reframe it. What makes you feel alive outside of being his anchor? Start building that. Otherwise, you'll confuse routine with being unwanted.
And to the boyfriend, because I know he's listening somewhere, check your enthusiasm levels. When you come home buzzing about your dates but flat about your partner, you create a vacuum. Balance the glow. Share some of that light back home.
Exactly. Tell her, I missed you in this tiny specific way. It'll melt her. People don't need grand gestures. They need evidence they still matter.
The other fix for base camp syndrome is scheduling fun that's just for you. Not revenge fun, actual joy. Otherwise, you're just counting minutes and waiting for the other shoe to drop.
And Tara, let me be blunt. If he's the only one dating right now, that's temporary, not forever. There's a weird phrase in every open relationship where one person's calendar looks like a Tinder exploded and the other's is tumbleweeds. Don't interpret that imbalance as fate. It evens out.
Yeah, the early days are always weirdly asymmetrical. One of you gets hit with opportunities faster, the other's nervous system's still in beta testing. That's kind of normal.
But talk about it. Don't stew. Say, I need to feel like our world still has color when you're gone. That's not neediness. That's humanity.
And that brings us to maybe the biggest myth of all, that jealousy means failure.
Oh, people treat jealousy like it's a moral flaw. It's not. It's a nervous system flare. Your body's saying something feels unfamiliar. You breathe, you soothe, you adapt.
Jealousy doesn't mean stop. It means slow down. Take inventory. What story is playing in your head? Usually it's, I'll be replaced or I'm not enough. Both are fixable with truth and reassurance.
Reassurance is underrated. Some E&M folks treat it like weakness. No, reassurance is love maintenance. You water the plant even when it's not dying.
We do that all the time. I'll randomly say, hey, nothing's wrong, but I love you and I'm glad you're mine. Preventive care.
Yeah, it's the emotional equivalent of an oil change. Keeps everything running smoother.
You're the only person who could make car metaphors sound romantic.
Talent.
And if you're walking in like a dog that just got into the trash, hi, babe, I had a nice time. Nothing exploded. Please don't throw my shoes away.
Exactly. The morning after isn't about the sex or the details. It's about the energy. It's about how you land. If you come home tense or secretive, it plants anxiety like weeds. If you come home gentle and grounded, you grow safely.
Our first few times, we messed that up completely. I came home wired from adrenaline and tried to dump every detail on you, thinking honesty meant narrate everything. You look like you wanted to crawl out of your own skin.
Yeah, because I was still processing the fact that the world hadn't collapsed. I didn't need a TED Talk. I needed a cuddle and a snack.
Lesson learned. Share enough to connect, not to confess.
The confession phase is normal, though. People go through it because they feel guilty for having fun. But real honesty isn't trauma dumping. It's attunement. It's what do you actually need to know to feel safe and respected.
For us, it became a rhythm. Quick check-in, small affection, sleep. Then the next day we talk. That 12-hour buffer can save lives.
And let's not pretend we always handle it gracefully. Sometimes there's post-date weirdness. Your partner comes home glowing and you suddenly feel like a light bulb that's flickering. That's human.
I used to mistake your quiet for disapproval. Then I realized you were just feeling. You were proud, nervous, jealous, all at once. I learned to shut up, hold you, and let your nervous system reboot.
Because you can't logic someone out of an emotional body response. You can only be present. Presence is sexier than any pep talk.
And when presence fails, fries help.
Fries always help.
I remember one night you came home, curled up on the couch and said, "I'm fine, but my brain's being dramatic." That was a turning point. You weren't trying to fix it. You were inviting me in to witness it.
That's the sweet spot. Being vulnerable without making your partner responsible for your feelings. It's like saying, hold my hand while I walk through this, not carry me out of it.
And that's where repair culture really lives. Not in the crisis, but in the aftercare.
Aftercare isn't just a kink term. It's a relationship one. It's what you do after the intense emotional stuff. You come back together and remind each other, we're still good. We're still us.
We have a few rituals now. You'll sit between my knees, lean back, and we breathe for a minute. I don't talk. I just exist with you. It may sound dumb and cheesy, but it's magical.
Yeah, it's one of the few moments where my brain fully believes I'm safe again.
For anyone listening, don't underestimate physical touch and emotional repair. Hugging recalibrates the body faster than any essay ever will.
And humor. Laughter resets everything. The first time I cried mid-spiral, you just said, "So should I cancel my OnlyFans then?" And I started laughing so hard, I forgot to be jealous.
Yeah, you're welcome.
The what if it goes wrong conversation deserves its own moment. Because it will go wrong sometimes. You'll misread a tone, forget an update, or catch feelings at the wrong time. That doesn't mean E&M failed. It means you're human.
I remember when I had a crush that hit faster than either one of us expected. I thought I'd handle it well, but my enthusiasm was leaking everywhere. You clocked it in 5 seconds.
Oh, I knew. You were glowing like a Pixar character. It wasn't the crush that scared me. It was the part of you that was scared to tell me. That's when I realized honesty isn't about information. It's about invitation.
That night, I said, "I think I'm catching real feelings and I don't want to hide it." You didn't punish me for it. You took a deep breath and said, "Okay." And I swear I fell in love with you all over again.
You handled it right. You brought it before it became a problem. You gave me time to adjust instead of time to resent.
That's the golden rule of E&M. Tell the truth while it's still useful. If you wait until it's dramatic, you've already lost trust.
The scariest part is realizing you can't control outcomes, only behaviors. You can't stop your partner from connecting with others. You can only decide how much honesty and care you'll bring to it.
And when you both show up like that, happiness stops being an emotion and becomes a habit.
Exactly. Happiness in this world is peace plus choice plus repair. You keep choosing, you keep repairing, and you keep laughing.
All right. Listener email number 2.
Let's do it.
All right. Hi, Lizzie and Nash. I'm M. My wife and I recently opened our marriage. She's dating someone new, and I actually like the guy, but I can't stop imagining them together. Every time she leaves, I get physically sick. She says I'm just overthinking, but the jealousy feels like a panic attack. Is this normal or am I broken?
Oh, buddy, you are not broken. You're just feeling everything at once.
Yeah, that's jealousy's evil twin, anxiety. It's your nervous system trying to process a new reality on old software. It's actually totally normal.
The body doesn't know the difference between I'm in danger and my partner is having a new experience. It just freaks out. The trick is teaching it you're safe while the feelings are happening.
I tell people jealousy doesn't mean stop. It means pause, hydrate, and check your inputs. Are you eating, sleeping, doing anything besides watching the clock? Because half of jealousy is blood sugar.
Truly. Have a snack. Take a walk. Then figure out what's actually under the panic. Sometimes it's a fear of being replaced. Sometimes it's a loss of control. Sometimes it's just adrenaline.
We use a phrase: name, claim, reframe. Name the feeling, I'm jealous. Claim the reality, I chose this. Reframe it. This is my body learning a new language.
If you like her boyfriend, that's actually great. That means your brain isn't building him up as a villain. Let that friendship be part of your safety net, not your trigger.
And tell your wife what you need for co-regulation. Not cancel your date, but hey, could you send me one text when you're there so my brain cells chill? It's small, but I mean, that's kind of huge.
Yeah. Also, stop assuming you're supposed to be excited about her dates. Nobody expects you to throw confetti. Contentment is enough. Calm is enough.
Exactly. Some E&M folks make compersion sound like an Olympic sport. If you're not gleefully high-fiving your spouse before their date, you're failing. Now, compersion just means you don't root against them.
That's it. Happiness doesn't have to be fireworks. Sometimes it's silence without resentment.
And when you catch that calm, even once, your body remembers. The next time, it's easier. That's the long-term growth nobody actually brags about.
Take this from us. The panic fades. The love stays. The more you name it without shame, the faster it passes.
Perfectly said.
I know.
Here's the weird thing. When you get through enough of those hard moments, you start realizing E&M isn't about sex or freedom. It's about truth. Well, sex, freedom, and truth. Radical, awkward, sometimes hilarious truth.
Truth that makes you grow up faster than therapy ever could, because it's real-time emotional exposure therapy. You're building tolerance for discomfort while keeping love intact.
And that, ironically, is what makes the sex better.
Facts. When you stop being afraid of honesty, intimacy gets feral in the best way.
It's basically trust porn.
I'm stealing that.
Go for it.
You know what's funny? Everyone thinks the hardest part of E&M is jealousy. It's not. It's staying kind when you're tired, overstimulated, and your emotions have been doing CrossFit all week.
Exactly. The hardest part is not turning into roommates who manage logistics about dating other people instead of lovers who actually like each other.
It's wild how easy it is to forget to flirt when your calendar's full of check-ins. We're sitting there scheduling honesty like dentist appointments.
And then one of us will just blurt out something inappropriate at the wrong moment.
You.
Boom, we're back. Laughter resets everything. The serious conversations are necessary, but the jokes keep it alive.
The humor is what makes us sustainable. I mean, we've had arguments that ended in sarcasm and fries, and that's honestly better than half the communication exercises people try.
Yeah, sarcasm and fries. That's basically our marriage slogan.
Don't tempt me. I'll get shirts printed.
Yeah, you probably will. All right. The truth is, happiness in this setup isn't a one-time achievement. It's maintenance. It's like emotional oil changes, regular checkups, recalibration after every long road trip.
Yep. Happiness is a practice. You build it through the boring stuff, regular talks, empathy, apologizing like adults, and not weaponizing honesty. Like, hey, I know you said you're fine, but your eyes are trying to file for divorce. That kind of awareness.
You have the creepiest way of reading me.
Talent. Anyway, here's the cycle. Honesty, disruption, repair, growth, repeat. That's it. We don't aim for permanent bliss. We aim for recoverability.
Recoverability. That's the word. The ability to screw up and rebuild faster than before.
Every time we repair, the trust gets thicker, not thinner. When people say, I could never do what you do, I always think you already are. You're just calling it forgiveness.
Oh, exactly. Monogamous or not, every couple's playing with trust and risk. We just talk about it out loud.
The talking is everything. When we stop talking, that's when resentment starts to build condos in your chest.
Yeah, there was a stretch when we weren't good at that. We had too much pride to admit we were scared. We acted like pros, but inside we were holding our breath. You looked at me one night and said, if we're not laughing or touching, we're just managing data. That line right there gutted me, but in a good way.
Because it was true. Managing data isn't intimacy. We brought back play and everything softened. The moment you stop trying to win the relationship, you start enjoying it again.
You even made a rule. No serious talks without snacks.
And
it was genius.
It works every time. You can't throw emotional grenades while chewing chips. Science.
That rule probably saved us from at least 3 divorces. Anyway, the other part of long-term happiness is making space for evolution. The version of us that opened up years ago is absolutely not the version sitting here now.
We used to chase validation, prove we were good at E&M. Now we chase peace. We know what kind of connection we like, what our limits are, and we don't need to justify it to anyone.
People act like evolving rules means failure. It doesn't. It means you're paying attention.
Relationships that never change aren't stable. They're stagnant. Growth looks messy, but feels alive.
So true. Let's hit one more truth bomb before we wrap this up. None of this works without self-work. You can't outsource self-esteem to your partner. You can't expect compersion from an empty tank.
Yeah, you can't pour from an empty self. If you want to feel secure watching your partner thrive, you need to build a life that's big enough for both of you. Do your hobbies, your friendships, your stupid little joys. Don't make them your only source of excitement.
I used to think it was my job to make you happy. Turns out my real job was to protect the conditions where you could create your own happiness.
That's sexy, actually.
I know.
And my job was not to make your freedom my enemy. The moment I stopped competing with your joy, I started sharing it.
And that's the point. Happiness in E&M isn't a zero-sum game. It's contagious when you stop treating it like a contest.
Also, let's be real. It's not always easy. Sometimes you'll be triggered. Sometimes you'll miscommunicate. Sometimes you'll feel insecure. But if you keep laughing, apologizing, and eating fries together, you'll be fine.
It's always about the fries. And if you can't laugh yet, at least chew quietly and promise to try tomorrow.
Exactly. That's how we built this thing. One awkward conversation, one belly laugh, one good night's sleep at a time. When I picture happiness now, it's not champagne or new partners. It's you walking in the door, dropping your phone, kissing me, and asking if I want to order fries. That's it. That's our version of happy.
You need to just show up at the house with the fries. But anyway, same thing for me. It's not fancy, but it's real. So yeah, can you truly be happy when your partner is dating someone else? Hell yes. But only if you're both doing the work, choosing each other daily, and remembering to refill the lube and the snacks.
Spoken like a poet, a weird, slightly sticky poet.
I try.
All right, wrap it up, Mr. Wisdom.
Fine. Here's the takeaway. Love is abundant. Time is finite. Communication is the bridge. You can have freedom and security if you learn how to talk about the messy middle instead of pretending it doesn't exist.
And happiness. It's not what happens when the jealousy's gone. It's what happens when you stop running from it.
Damn, that's pretty good.
I know.
All right, folks, we're done corrupting your minds for today.
Thanks for listening to Why Is It So Hard?
Now, go talk to your partners, laugh at yourselves, eat something fried,
Fries.
and remember, you're allowed to build a relationship that fits even if nobody else gets it.
I'm Lizzie.
And I'm Nash.
Be kind to your nervous system. They're doing big, brave work.
That was cheesy.
Yeah.
Yes.